Okay, now, hey, welcome back to Warhammered with Robert and Walter. Yes, sophomore slump episode. That's what we're saying. We are going to talk about some Crusade lists, and we're going to talk about novels, and we're going to talk about lore, and we're going to answer questions, and we're going to talk about delicious beverages. So
we're going to drink again, yes.
Mm.
Yes, unfortunately, we are having to be remote this time around. We don't have Matt. He's otherwise engaged. He's fine.
In case anyone's concerned.
He's fine. But it's just the two of us. I am in quarantine, so I'm staying home for the past several days. It's starting to blur together. So we're meeting all from our own places this episode. Is we calling it an episode, I guess, since it's a
sure. It's an episode.
We're trying to make this regular.
We're feeling episodic today.
Yeah. So,
thank you, whoever in the chat recognized Tiki Cat, best tiki bar, in my fancy tiki mug.
A bar I never got to go to before it died.
Oh, it may come back, maybe.
They hope so. I mean, yeah. They hope so. First question, one I've always wanted to ask if I was ever on a podcast. Let's talk about hobby stuff. Walter, what are you working on?
Hobby stuff. So I finally wrapped up 2,000 points of Adeptus Custodians for a fully painted army, which is almost unprecedented from me. And we won't talk about the fact that it's 20-some models, and we won't talk about the fact that it includes an assassin that you paint. So aside from all that...
But we do know that a can of Retributor armor spray will paint probably, 4,000 points?
Yes, yeah. I did an entire 2,000 points with that, and I still have plenty in the can.
Yeah,
so, if you want an easy army to paint, Custodians, pew, pew, pew.
Yeah.
What are you working on?
I've been working on... I'm pausing on the Death Guard because I realized the other day my Death Poetry Guard for the
Thank you.
Chaos Slam. I realized how many people, because of Dark Imperium from 8th edition, how many people, 5 or 6 people I can think of that have Death Guard armies. Also, as we will discuss soon, in Crusade, a 25 power level Death Guard list without zombies, because I'm not a big fan of Podswalkers or zombies, whatever you want to call them.
I want to call them Podswalkers.
Not the easiest thing to make. So I decided to jump over to some Xenos. I own a bunch of Orcs when the vehicle's released, and with the new 9th edition vehicle rules being pretty cool, I've started putting together a Crusade Orc list, knocking out the most boring element right off the bat, Tin Boys. They're almost done. It's really hard to... I just want to paint vehicles and and burn a boys and stuff like that.
Somebody asked, what am I drinking, Walter, apparently. I am drinking a painkiller, a delicious tiki cocktail that consists of rum and pineapple juice and orange juice, because I would like all my beverages to taste like candy.
Plus, you get some vitamin C.
Mm-hmm.
So it's healthy.
This is health food right here. Yeah. It's practically a smoothie.
Yes. And I am continuing with my traditional bourbon. There once was an ice cube in here. It's gone.
Oh, and it has a wee bit of nutmeg you sprinkle on top. That makes it classy.
On that? Interesting.
Yeah, you put a little nutmeg.
Right on top
Yeah, you just put it on top of the froth at the top after you shake it up. Oh, it's got coconut cream in it too, and that makes it all...
That's okay. There we go.
That really adds that little layer. And then you shooka. And then a little nutmeg for a little je ne sais quoi.
You gotta be real forthcoming on all the components if these are ever going to move into the cardboard corner.
Yes. They're so good. They should.
We need all the...
This is like the only tiki drink that doesn't require 18 awkward types of rum, and it's all confusing and scares me. This one's just like doop doop doop, shaky drink.
So, quick question off the chat. So power level is what you build for a Crusade list. Points are still a thing. Points are great, but right now, at least Walter and myself and Matt, we're all about Crusades right now. So,
power levels were introduced last edition as sort of a real quick and dirty way to make lists. You don't get all the granularity of points, so they're not as good for tournament, serious business play, because they basically you just have your units. So it's say I have a Battle Sister squad, and it's 5 Battle Sister squads cost 5 power level or something. It's very close to that. I can put whatever weapons and stuff nonsense on there, and you don't pay attention to the points. And that's sort of factored into the power level, the fact that they can have certain upgrades, but you don't track that this one has a storm bolter, this one has a heavy bolter, or whatever. You can make lists very quick with it. They're not as, again, you don't get that granularity, you don't get all that really narrow balance and everything, but you can make lists very fast, and it works fine for like narrative and crusade games, which is what we do. So if you're don't make your power level list and then go to like the Adepticon Open, they will be sad.
You go to the Adepticon event that plays power level.
Yes,
which might be more fun. I'm sorry, it might be more fun of it. I don't know. No shade. I still build off points as well. That's whenever.
Yeah, I mean, and again, a lot of sort of things, but the nice advantage of power levels is it's really fast. So we're playing with a number of new people in sort of our crusade thing, so it's nice to just be like, take the thing, and especially because we have some people that are very new to the game. So, they get their first box of stuff. They want to build all the cool options, so you don't want to be like, do you really want to spend the points on a whatever? And it's like, yes, take it all. Put every nonsense weapon on that unit.
Yeah. So also, sidebar on that. So it was, at least in 8th, we whenever you were working, whenever you were playing the whatever they called the power level version, it wasn't narrative, it was the other one. I don't know. Open, or it was narrative, whatever. Anyway,
narrative and open.
At the time, and maybe even now, if you were summoning in miniatures, so if I had a Herald of Slaanesh and I have my Death Guard guys and I have my summoner, I want to bring in a unit of Plague Bearers in a Battleforged, fully competitive point list. You had to pay for those things that you might summon in. Power level, you didn't. In a Crusade list, do you have to, on your Crusade log, note summoned units?
Wow, could have asked that question before we got on here, so we could have looked that up. I have no idea.
I don't know.
I don't play your filthy chaos. All right, I'm playing the holiest of holies, the Sister of Battles.
It's just one of those, and I don't know if that's I'm gonna go ahead and go with I haven't played Crusade because of quarantine and COVID. We're just gonna blame
COVID's blame for everything. Do we want to talk? We sort of jumped ahead. And also, I need to circle back at some point. I need to look up what a jungle bird is, because apparently someone suggested that, and I like the sound of it, and I like the fact that it sounds real easy. But that we're going to find out later, or somebody's going to put in the chat what goes into a jungle bird. And then Madeline's going to tell me. Pineapple juice, rum, Campari, and lime juice. I love every one of those things. So, sounds good. Do we want to talk about the Crusade list that we're working on?
Yeah, why don't you start with what you're playing and maybe I don't know if you have more than one that you're doing. So
I have the one that I made and that I've played once, and I got my little Crusade journal, which this is a pretty cool journal, except the page ratio is awful. So it's this cool journal, and it gives you all the here's a place to put your units and your army and everything, but they give you 1 page for army to every 1 page of unit, which is terrible. But I'm willing to forgive it because it's nice and pretty and it has a nice binding. So I have brought 25 power level of Sisters of Battle, which included a Canoness, because you need an HQ, so that's the first thing you got to decide in any power level list is what your HQ is going to be, because some of them can get real expensive. Like in a 25 power level, you're not going to be like, let's bring Roboot Gilliman, because then you don't get anything else. I brought some other characters in a Magifier, because it's nice to have a little backup. The Sisters of Battle are real buffy stuff. They have a lot of synergy. They don't do as well if they don't have all their toys backing them up. So an Imagifier, which is cool to get to give some buffs. 1 standard everyday boring squad of Sisters, because that's what you do. With, as I realized I need to buy a bunch of Retributor boxes to get heavy bolters, because heavy bolters are going to get real cool next edition. Or not next edition, whenever the Space Marine Codex comes out and they redo all the
they're
weapons.
Already cool.
We should talk about that. That's a whole thing of news that we got to talk about, new Codex things. Anyway, just circle back to that. It's going to be interesting stuff we talk about if you didn't know about it already. Then I brought 9 Sisters Repentia, and let me tell you who did the God Emperor's work last night when I was beating up some Necrons, because I'm 1, all right? Part into 1. That's how many Durkomis are. But anyway, 90% of my list.
All it takes.
I don't need this from you. 90% of the work was done by these 9 Sisters of Battle and their Repentia friend, because they are angry. And I took a Rhino, and we should talk about how transports are really cool in this edition because they protect your squishy units. They can get you across the table faster, and movement's really important. But when you play a 25 power level game, if you play on their suggested board size, that board is hilarious tiny. So you do not need a transport. I parked it in the deployment zone, and they got to immediately get out and charge. So maybe, as cool as transports are, you save them for the bigger map games. I wish I wouldn't have taken one if I would have realized that.
Yeah, and that's good to know, because that just messes up my Orc Crusade.
They don't need trucks. The board's 24 inches across or whatever. They just run it. Anyone can get anywhere.
I haven't opened my truck yet. I guess I can just return it.
Well, you don't return it. You want that truck later.
Yeah.
Shut up.
No, I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, that's good to know, because the Orc thing I'm working on, I want those cars, so I'm sure they're going to cover lots of ground.
Right.
Do you have any? I know you. So I know you're working on Sisters of Battle. Weren't you thinking about some other?
Yeah, so I thought about some, like I wanted to make custodians, and a custodian list is very hard because they are all, you get like 3 units of guys if you're lucky. It is
3 units of like what, 3 guys each?
Yeah, I mean you get a lead, you get a character, you get a unit of custodians, and then you're like maybe you can take one other unit of something. They are super expensive. They'll be better again once you get to the larger games, but they are really hard to play and patrol. Now, mind you can't kill them, so that's cool. And if you play Sweep and Clear, which is one of the 3 missions where you don't actually have to stay on objectives to hold them, then they're pretty cool because they can move on with their day. But they're expensive. I also, because I love the Mechanicum for all the Mechanicums, I tried to make a Crusade list and completely failed because I like every unit in the Mechanicum army and could not decide. And that's why I ended up playing Sisters, because I had a better idea of what I wanted to bring. But it was like, I'll put in the horsey guys and the flappy boys and my big stompy robots and a lot of these, and then it was like 90, 100 power level. Sure. It's like, I can't get rid of any of these because they're my babies.
So
my sweet babies that I can't abandon. Right. Yes, I'll get to. I have to start at 2,000 points minimum.
Sure. I feel that's how I felt about a Death Guard.
Yeah, you can't choose. It's like a Sophie Turner's choice. You can't do the thing.
Yeah, because the like Plague Marines, I think it's 7 for 7. It was like they started adding up real fast, and you know, like if you, it's like say you go off Dark Imperium, that Lord of Contagion, which is really cool, he's expensive. The summoners, I mean, everything there, it was one of those. I think I made 3 lists, and they always came up to 20. But I didn't have anything I could put in for the extra 5 that was worth it.
Except zombies, which you hate.
I just didn't want to take Poxwalkers. I don't. It's just not my thing. I like Marines. Anyway, I have my couple notes here. Considering I haven't played yet, I've just kind of been building some stuff. Orcs, however, building on like a 25 power. And this is before I knew about playing on that new sort of recommended tables. The
we baby match. It's cool. You get people get in there. They get stuck in.
So my original. So this is I'm looking at everything mobile, everything fast. Sort of my in other words list, like just an easy way to build off that Star Collecting box, because that's one of the things we were trying to kind of push. Not push. It's like, hey, if you want to get into it, grab a Star Collecting box.
We both work at a store. You can say push. We're selling the.
Well, I mean, it's on the tin. But if you're playing Orcs,
I have 5 cats to feed. Sell some models.
Great. You grab that Start Collecting box. My 25 power level list that I started with was the you grab 5 knobs with the runt, which is in the box. 10 boys with the knob in the box. That's 10 power level. The 2 trucks are 4 each. Great if we're playing, and then if you're playing, I guess on the small map, maybe you could just throw that Death Dread in. He's 6, so you're gonna come up. But my big HQ choice, the one I want to play with, is that Death Killer Wartrike.
Yeah, you do.
Like that's who I want my warlord to be. Like you can kit bash. You can use a knob, or the knob from a boy unit as your war boss. It's fine. I really like that Death Killer Wartrike. So Death Killer Wartrike, Death Killer Wartrike. 5 knobs with a runt, 10 boys with a knob, and 2 trucks. That's 25 power level. Exactly. In that Start Collecting box, you also get a Pain Boy, which I guess you could throw in the truck with the knobs if you want to. He's 3. But then there's always the cool stuff like 2 Death Dreads. That's crazy. That's 12 total. I was a little disappointed. Killicans are 3 power level apiece.
Oh, well.
Yeah, so like when I started building the list, I just clicked Killicans thinking it was the unit of 3 because of the box, and it said 3 power level. So I I was like, awesome! I can have a unit of war bikes with the war trike. I can have Killicans with the Death Dread, and then that all went down the drain. If you grab 2 start collecting orc boxes, that is 51 power level.
Huh.
Exactly.
Look at they ready to go.
Yeah, so that is your crusade. That's your, you have to drop something.
Right. You're all set. Or you can spend one of your requisition points on 5 more power.
Or you drop a pain boy,
Sure.
because it is cool that the both the knobs and the boys, like 10 boys is 4 power level. 10 boys with you adding the knob in, still 4 power level. However, and here's my other cool thing: 2 start collecting work boxes with two trucks instead of 3, and a Death Killer War Trike is 50 exactly. So if you want to join me in one of the coolest orc models, which I think is on that big old bike, that is 50 power level. So that's your Crusade force. Again, Death Guard didn't really do it for me. I started looking at some other ones I really like. So the Chaos Space Marine start collecting box is 38 power level worth of stuff. So you have a lot to work with because you get a 25 power level example list. This is one I was looking at just because I really like Chaos Space Marines. I think they're cool. I hate all that trim. It sucks to paint, but it can look really, really cool. But if you use, this is just using the start collecting box. The Master of Possession is the HQ. One of the Greater Possessed, of which there are 2, those guys are real cool. The 1 unit of 10 Marines, if you want to, with your hobby skills, you could turn that unit of 10 Marines into 2 units of 5 for the same cost. You would have to kit bash a second champion, yeah, and then use one of the obliterators in the box, and that's a 25, and that obliterator is also nasty. My optional add-ins, things I think would be cool. Again, you add that second possessed, you add that other obliterator, maybe add a unit of chaos bikers, especially with Marker Nurgle, because they get strong. That Venom Crawler is in the start collecting box. It's pretty cool. And then old model that I've always liked, that Chaos Vindicator is gross. It comes in. I don't have my app up. It's D6 shots, D6 strength. It's nasty, especially with the new blast rules. I highly recommend one. Are they in print? I think they're in print right now.
Yeah, and somebody in the chat points out that if you hate yourself, you can put hazard stripes on it by playing Iron Warriors, but you are punishing yourself. They actually said you should do that, but that's a terrible idea because hazard stripes.
You could also, play Alpha Legion or Word Bearers. By the way, Word Bearers...
Alpha Legion did nothing wrong. They're loyalists.
As much as the Word Bearers are terrible children who are just kind of... I hate them.
Ruined everything for everyone.
Paint those things silver, undercoat of silver, get that red, either Blood Angels or Flesh Terrors contrast paint, and start putting it in those armor panels, and you will have yourself a Word Bearers army, because those red contrast paints over metal look fantastic. I'm looking for this Chaos Vindicator just because it's so cool. That was kind of it. I have a problem anyway with my wanting to jump around armies, but it was enough to really...
No, Robert. No, you stick to a project and see it through. Yeah. And I never see you pick up a new thing.
Back when I was just a mere customer at Tabletop, and I'd walk in and somebody like Walter would go, "Hey, this new thing is cool." I'm like, "Sure,
that is cool. I'll take 2."
But yeah, so no, the Chaos Vindicator, and it is 7 power level. So
it does work.
It might seem much, it might seem a lot, but you got 3 combi bolters on there. And then you have a combi flamer. When you outfit, if you tool it up, there's a lot of different things you can do. But
I really like that you've started with the wimpiest guns on the tank. You're saving for last.
I like to build up
the gun that it's literally named for.
Yeah, there's a Havoc launcher, Strength 5, heavy D6, whatever. But the Demolisher Cannon...
There we are.
The Demolisher Cannon is heavy D6, Strength 10, AP -3, D6 damage. So, personally, I like whatever lets me roll as many dice as I can. So if you're looking for something solid and easy, whatever, go, choose something different, like a Vindicator, not a Vindicator, Predator with the lattice cannon. But I like to roll my dice. I like the chance. I like the fact that if I shoot my Vindicator cannon at you, you can go, it'll be fine, but I have a chance to roll a bunch of 6s.
Yes, and ruin a day.
Yeah.
One thing I want to talk... hold on.
Sure.
So one thing I want to get back to, because I'm going to forget rapidly, is my narrative moment of the week, because I got to play a game actually the other day. We played a nice outside socially distanced game of Warhammer. It was great.
We need a little musical jingle for narrative moment of the week.
Oh, it was so great. So I did know, as I have not studied Necron stratagems well enough, my super angry women got to go in and murder the bejesus out of his warlord, and like whatever he has the Scorpic Lord, the one from the fancy Indomitus box, and took it down, only to realize that they have a stratagem where that guy can come back with one wound. So it was total horror movie moment as they like cut this thing down and murder it, and then just as they're turning around, like the eyes glow back up, and he gets up and he slaughters 8 out of 9 of this poor Repentia squad on the next turn. And it was, and then the one survivor, the final whatever, the final survivor in the horror movie manages to take it down, and she ran roughshod over the battlefield alone, chopping up units. It was it was just this vote. I need to paint her special, and she needs to get a name because she got shit done.
You need to put a little name on her on the base.
On the base, she got special. There was a time. There's a Sister of Battle ability where they get 2 hits on 6s, and so she managed to get 5 hits on 3 dice. And it's like, that's doing work. That's what I want to see.
What order is that?
Well, it's one of the sacred rites. You get to choose a sacred rite. I was doing Bloody Rose because I wanted to murder people.
Sure.
But there's a melee sacred rite that gets you extra hits on 6s. Awesome. And so it's like, oh, don't mind if I do get more hits than dice. That's how you know you're doing work. She gets above and beyond.
If you are thinking maybe the Sisters of Battle interests me, Faith and Fire is a novel by Jane Swallow. Very good. It's Sisters of Battle at their most valiant and self-destructive best, because it's good. I recommend it. Don't want to spoil anything, but Faith and Fire.
We also need to talk about the audiobook. The audiobook. What was the audiobook that you like?
Yeah. It's one of the short, like 1-hour dramas. It's called Red and Black, I think, and that's it's a short Sisters of Battle dealing with Tzeentch thing. But especially if you're a fan of the Starks and other denizens of the North in Game of Thrones, it's great because the narrator it's 2 female narrators. I haven't listened to a while, but they all, as soon as they start talking about Sisters of Battle, they all become very northern, and that sounded southern, but they've got that Yorkshire up near the wall part of that British accent.
You both those girls,
makes
sort of
them
thing.
extra salty. Yeah. So yeah, Red and Black, which I think is also James Swallow. I don't remember for sure, but Faith and Fire. I think Sisters of Battle stories probably all have ampersands in them. But yes, highly recommend that. That was one of those. I always like Sister Battle, Red and the Black, or Red, Faith and Fire, and I was like, yep, this is great. I mean, again, of course, this is great means the Imperium is not a great place, but I sure do want to play with those miniatures. So
that segues into another thing I wanted to talk about is my latest 40K book thing I liked.
Cool. I've got it on deck, so I don't know yet. That's Avenging Sun. I thought, okay, cool.
This is Avenging Sun. I'm not going to spoil any of the things. This is the first novel. They're claiming it's going to be the new Horus Heresy series, and we'll see. Whatever. I mean, that's grandiose.
That's real big. That's not a good. That's hard.
That's a middle. Yeah.
I don't like that.
Those are big shoes to fill. I don't think it's going to be that. But
I mean, and even at the Horus Heresy, it has its lows.
Oh. What? No, there's not 10 books in the middle that are terrible.
I would love to sit and talk Horus Heresy novels on this.
And we should at some point talk Horus Heresy novels.
But there are some really bad ones.
There are some
really, really good ones.
There are. So, anyway. But this book, Avenging Sun, by whoever it's by, Guy Haley, he does a great job for this first one. It all takes place. It's the Indomitus Crusade, so it's like the very beginning of the Primaris Marines. But, so there's a bunch of Space Marine stuff that's all great. It's fine. It's Space Marines, and they're being Space Marines, and they're doing cool stuff. And they get into Primaris Marines and how they start, and there's a bunch of Bobby G being cool. But the best part, yeah, right? But the best part, and don't want to spoil too much, there are entire segments of this book that deal with a scribe that is going on an epic quest to make sure a piece of paperwork is filed properly. and they have to fight their way through all of the horrible different scribe clans that are around, and there's pyre clans that gather up like discarded documents and they burn them for fuel, and then there's impoverished scribe clans that raid the other places for vellum that they can scrape clean and use because they can't afford it, and they have like these homemade weapons that they like do these raids across territory to do, and she needs to get far enough away that she can declare herself a scribe errant, and then people will help her because they assume that if she's gotten that far away from her cubicle that she is like blessed by the god emperor. And it is the most amazing series of things. It is the grimmest and darkest that you could possibly have, because it's like this miserable scribe. They talk about her and her cubicle and how she desperately is happy every day for the tiny moment of human contact when somebody like slides documents through the slot in her cubicle, and she's like, I know there's a human on the other side of these documents. Oh, it's glorious. It is
because the
peak grimdark. It's so wonderful. And they talk about how everyone on Terra is older than you would think otherwise. It's like this guy's described as being like in his 50s or 60s, and then he's like, I've been doing this job for 30 years and I started when I was 5. And it's like, yeah. He's so sad. It is that level of just
that's one of those if you read any of that Imperial Army stuff where it's like the Nord-Afric conclave that's been like, I've spent my life in this transport. That's what I do. I travel all over these similar to our own Earth continents that are all terraformed and changed, but my life is like this rusty joint that I keep cleaning off.
And they talk about there's her spot is called a cubicalarium, which I got through this whole drink and successfully said the word cubicalarium. So
what's that? What's that word that we like to try? Not defragulate. You know.
Deflagrate.
Deflagrate. Yes.
Deflagrate. Yes.
That could actually, maybe that should be something we start doing on this show. What are you reading right now? Because I'm behind on 40K because I'm expansing. Because everyone should be expansing.
Everyone should be expansing.
And you also wanted to mention the Warhammer Crime.
Yes, there are 2, in fact, Warhammer Crime books. And there are 2 things I want to say about the Warhammer Crime books. Is first of all, the first one called Bloodlines by somebody. It's called Bloodlines. But it's a hard-boiled detective novel set in 40K, and I love that sentence so much because and it's so hard-boiled. Like the main character's hard drinking and miserable, and he constantly is getting knocked unconscious to do chapter transitions like better hard-boiled people do.
Chris Raitt, who writes my White Scars books.
There you go. And it stunned me. This is the thing, like that just blew me away. As somebody who's been reading 40K novels for now literal decades, it is the first time I'm reading the book, and I actually had to stop and text my friends this, and I'll point out I sent this text from the toilet, which is a detail you all need. But I read this book, and then one of the characters dropped an F-bomb, and it was just like, you can't say that in 40K. They
finally started doing it.
They did it. So it's Bloodlines, and it's solving this, missing persons mystery thing that goes all the way to the top, and there's corruption and everything, and it's so good. But it's very...
I have to say, 90% of the Onion or Hard Times News articles I send to you, I'm on the toilet.
So yeah, that's fair. I mean, that's where we do a lot of our work.
Yeah.
Sure. The second half of this Twitch, actually, I'm just going to film it from. That's
great.
So no worries.
Don't get nasty.
It's going to get something. There's a question on the thing.
Yeah, we have a quick question. Where would one start reading Warhammer novels? Avenging Sun?
Do you have a thing? Avenging Sun is actually a really good one. Hey, maybe you've heard of this book, Avenging Sun by Guy Haley.
You're starting at the beginning?
Well, it starts at the beginning of what the main 9th edition...
Yeah. Like, you're starting at the beginning of a storyline.
Right. So you can get it on the ground floor, and it's very good, and it's accessible. You don't have to know a ton of, the deep lore or whatever to get into it.
Yeah. I have a little bit of trouble. For some reason, 40K lore has always been... I started with beginning with the Horus Heresy novels. Horus Rising, they're so good. It's weird because it really, unless you're going to go to Forge World and play the game, it almost has no bearing on anything that you're going to go buy, like at tabletop. It's so different. But the books are really, really cool. Now there's 1,000 of them.
What's that? There's the first 3. What are the first 3? Horus Rising,
Heresy, False Gods, and Galaxy in Flames.
Horus Rising.
Horse Rising. That's those three, and then I like because it's one of my favorite characters. I like to add Flight of the Eisenstein, which is the fourth, which introduced Nathaniel Garrow, one of my favorite characters. We could make a list. We could make a good recommended reading list.
Yes.
If you want to jump to 40K, Avenging Sun is cool. If you want to go a little more old school, I'm gonna blame this on the booze. Rin's World. There it is. I got it. Rin's World.
Wow.
Crimson Fists and Orcs.
Well,
It's a classic, I guess.
hey, it's one of the what's the original pieces of 40K art that's
and it
most
also
famous
and it also
is Rin's World.
the Rin's World book. It's an encapsulated story. Like it's just this is the story. I also recommend Mr. Eisenhorn.
Well, you stole my recommendation. Yes. So yes, Eisenhorn, and actually that circles me back to the reason that I like Bloodlines so much, and the reason is the same reason I like Eisenhorn so much, is that 90% of Warhammer novels take place on planets that are on fire. Because Space Marines are there and everything's burning and Tyranids are eating everyone or Chaos is eating everyone or everyone's eating everyone. And they're murdering things with bolters and everything's on fire. And both Bloodlines and Eisenhorn present worlds in the Imperium that are actually functioning. And that is a very different experience. You get to actually see like the Imperium isn't all constantly in a battle all the time. There's numbers of planets where other things are going on, and that you get to do things. So it makes for neat things. And the Eisenhorn books are still my favorite 40K novels out there. There's 4 of them now, technically, because they made that Megos one that's sort of connected. But that 3, Eisenhorn, Xenos, Heretic, and whatever. I always have them as an omnibus.
What about, speaking of omnibus, if you lean towards Chaos.
I love speaking of omnibuses.
Find that Night Lord's omnibus. It is nuts, crazy, and awesome. If you are an Audible listener like myself, because that's how I can have my books and paint too, search up Night Lords, and the novels are all available separately. But there is a Night Lords omnibus that's printed.
Yes,
and the Night Lords are not good, clean fun.
It's an amazing series of books.
But it's really cool. I mean, it's all of this, and I'm assuming a lot of you. I mean, this is not a happy-go-lucky kind of universe. It does get. I mean, it's chaos, and it's not even chaos. It's the guys that are pissed off at chaos. Yeah. They're so chaos, they're pissed off at chaos.
Yeah, they're emo chaos. Well, and it does an amazing job. Aaron Dembski-Bowden does this extraordinary job of making characters that are unambiguously terrible, but at the same time you really like them. Because like you'll find yourself really liking these characters, and then they're like, then we flayed a bunch of people alive, and you're like, right, villains. Shit, I forgot. Yeah, you guys are the worst.
Yeah, the Night Lords, they skin people, and you're like, oh, this guy's cool. No, he's not. Before we're about to take a break, but before we go to the break, because this is a question I always forget. Gaunt's Ghosts, is that a good?
I love the Gaunt's Ghost novels. There's a lot of them, and they do get a little samey, but they're kind of that like samey that when you read like a good serial that even though the plots are mostly the same, you're like, I love to come back to this over and over again. The Gaunt's Ghosts are great for that. They're not breaking a lot of ground. They're war books, but they have the cool war novel sort of thing. But it's all guard, so their life is miserable. And I forget who writes Gaunt's Ghosts. Is it Abnett?
Yeah. I think he's written at least some of them. I don't know if he's written all of them.
Same guy's written all of them.
I think it's him.
But yeah, I think it is.
We have the internet. We're on the internet.
But they, characters die. That's the cool thing about it, is like every book, towards the end, you start getting really concerned for all your favorite characters because Dan Abnett does not fuck around. Like, Gaunt's going to be fine because his name's on all the books, and everyone else is fair game. So.
Sure. Yeah, it's Dan Abnett. We like him a lot.
Which, by the way, good. Also did Eisenhorn.
Yeah. Plus, if you're like, oh, he's a 40K author, Dan Abnett gave us the iteration of Guardians of the Galaxy that we've seen in the movies because he's written for Marvel.
Yes.
So before him, Guardians of the Galaxy it was an odd comic, but now the ones you know and love, that's Dan Abnett. It's pretty cool. And also on lore, because you're dealing with people who build their entire hobby decisions on lore.
Yes.
Circle back to the where do I start question. Start with the rule book.
Yeah.
The rule book
all
has
the little stories in the rule book.
And the current rule book, the new rule book, has very cool write-ups
little bits of fiction,
on everyone. And There's some new art, and that's for me a lot because I like to paint. So there's a lot of art that kind of pushes me different directions. If you have any kind of interest in chaos, the new rulebook has some really messed up, cool look at that John Blanche art. If you're not familiar with John Blanche, just Google search John Blanche, and his Warhammer chaos stuff is nuts. Start with the rulebook. Read a codex. It's like, oh, I like these guys. Read a codex, because that still ties into your game, ties into your hobby. If you want to go farther, then start hitting your books. There are some factions and chapters that I think have gotten a little bit of a short shrift. Salamanders don't have the best fiction. I mean, and again, that's me referring to like Horus Heresy Salamanders because I haven't read much of their 40K stuff. Yeah. If you are a fan of Aeronautica Imperialis, which we should at some point on this talk specialist games. If you are a fan of Aeronautica Imperialis or just Imperial Army, Dan Abnett, of whom I hope his ears are burning right now, wrote a novel called Double Eagle, and it is all pilots and planes, and it's Thunderbolt fighters versus Chaos Razor Wing jet fighters and things like that. There's fiction for the whole range.
Yes.
So, in the meantime, while you consult your Amazon tabletop Audible book selections, hang on.
Oh, got a refill.
I'm empty. so
good on you.
I know. So I'm empty. So I'm again repping the white scars. So,
nice.
We're gonna take a 5.
Take 5.
Everybody, refill.
Refill your drink.
In the chat, we want to know what you refilled. So
yes,
let's do it.
All right.
Look,
We're
it's
back with
Warhammered.
co-hosts.
We have real angry cats. I
Yeah.
have this Defiance clone who's okay. He's done. All right. Those back
Oh.
paws.
What's your cat's name?
Lando Cat Rizian.
Yes.
And I also have Jordy LaFurge somewhere in this room.
Yes, and this is Imperator Furiosa.
Yes.
So, she's the most fierce. All right.
I don't know if
go,
anybody
cat.
thought Cat Show and Tell was a thing.
Whatever. We all need to do the thing.
I don't know. Like Lando, he does this thing where like I'll do that, I'll piss him off, and then he'll disappear for 5 minutes, and then I will get attacked at any time because he holds a grudge. So anyway, welcome back. What did you refresh to?
Little second verse, same as the first. Right. So I had all the fixins out already. So
right on. Because I drank a hand of whiskey in that glass, I switched over to good old classic mule and the proper copper mug.
Unreasonably, completely unnecessary copper mug.
I'm telling you, it's so icy cold. It's delicious.
Yeah, that you don't want the outside to be cold. You're losing cool. You're evenly drink out.
By the way, because I'm going to do this every time until we're open, at the cafe when you come in, we made a menu for mules, a 1D4 mule menu: bourbon, vodka, gin, and then the dark and stormy, which is dark rum. So if you want, I think we're going to be able to make it where you can roll for your mule if you feel so inclined, because something about, I don't know if this is something about anybody, but at least at the tabletop cardboard corner sort of conglomerate, the mule is a thing. We all love it. We all rely on it. It's a fallback drink. If you like ginger, I don't know why you're not drinking one. If you don't like ginger, we have so many other things for you to drink. My wife doesn't like ginger. I do. So anyway.
I will die on that hill that goddamn copper mug is unnecessary.
Oh, so but the thing is, we have the coolest copper mugs.
Sure, I'm gonna bring in a styrofoam quick QT cup, and that's what I demand my mule in, so it stays cold because of insulation.
How dare you almost make me waste good booze, sir?
That's what you get.
Yeah, and good ginger. All right, so this is funny. What were we supposed to talk about after the break?
Yeah, we were talking about books, and I like that. What else we had?
Crusades. We talked about books and more. We really need some questions. I can double back really quick. Something I wanted to make a note on the Crusades. Okay, so start collecting boxes.
No, we have a thing. Okay, you keep going, and I'm gonna think. Hold on, I'm gonna get in the.
Start collecting boxes are great for Crusades. Like for a while, Games Workshop has done this thing where it's like a box that you buy is a box that you field and play. A unit that you buy, whatever you buy.
It was the upcoming Codex in October.
Okay, hang on one second.
Finish your thing.
However,
I cannot promise I will remember it by the time you're done.
Okay, I will remember.
Somebody in the comments will.
Because I have a much higher tolerance than you.
What? No. What?
Something that. Come on.
I'm on a drink and a quarter, and look how good I'm doing. So hey, none of that.
Come on.
We're gonna talk about upcoming Codex. Finish your thing.
Yeah. However, okay. So something to pay attention to, and this is something, of course, if you come and see us at the store, we'll help you with. But the weirdness of Crusade, as much as I love it, want to play it. While I said Chaos Space Marines, 38 power level. Demons of Slaanesh, start collecting, 16 power level. There's a wide, and it's almost like Games Workshop is like they've got Crusade here that that looks like they're really going to push. Start collecting here. Both of them, start collecting is a great value. Crusade is a great way to play. It looks like they're still going to meet in the middle. So, we are definitely going to do our best to help, especially Walter and I. We're going to facilitate this Crusade thing because it is so cool.
It's fun to Crusade.
So, yeah. And of course, and I say Demons of Slaanesh because that's one I've always been fascinated with. I want to play Slaanesh. Maybe someday there will be Emperor's Children. I don't know what's going on. I feel like if we say Emperor's Children, it prolongs it another 5 years. Same with
Don't do it.
Squats.
Yes.
Talk about squats.
You reset the clock.
So, Brian Bledsoe, squats. That's 5 more years.
I think.
We talk about it.
Okay, I need to say we are not allowed to talk about Demons of Slaanesh without talking about noodle horses a little briefly. because they're one of my favorite units
and noodle
in
horses,
the entire game.
I made a crusade list, and there's 2 units of 5 noodle horses in it.
Okay, we need
they're so good because they hurt you.
For the benefit of those at home, that is Seekers of Slaanesh. Can you find Madeline? Can you post a picture? Is that a thing that we can do? Do we have that technology?
I don't know. Noodle horses.
Yeah, look up noodle horses. That'll find it. I'm sure.
Seekers of Slaanesh, noodle horses.
Because
and I love it. I'm purple. Look, my little. Sorry, guys. On the thing we're looking at, I have a purple. Warhammered is taking effect.
Yeah. Why can't we show
my name is in purple in our little interface?
Right.
So, and Slaanesh has always been. It's. I don't know why. It's weird. It used to be previous editions. If demonettes could get to you, if Seekers could get to you, they would chop you to pieces. They would die so fast.
What's Imperial Guard power level?
There's not technically there's not a start collecting for them. You would have to take either Space Marines box, a start collecting Primaris Vanguard.
No, he's talking about Imperial Guard.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying there's no start collecting Imperial Guard.
You're talking about Space Marines. I'm confused.
I know. I just don't have that. I didn't make those. I don't have those.
There's a Tempestus Scions box, and they would actually be real hot in Crusade.
Oh yeah,
because Tempestus Scions. Because in power level, because you'd be like, give me all of these plasma guns.
Well, that also has that Torox. It's got which do you want to shoot? However many shots. Imperial Guard's power level. Quick shout out to the new current 40K app. I know people were really biatching about the $5 a month.
No one would ever do that on the internet.
I don't know if if it's still happening, but I signed up through the app through the Games Workshop website, and I got a free month. It gives you power level, it gives you points, it gives you all the details. It gives you the rules that you would get in the Grand Tournament pack. It gives you the basic rules. The list building function's coming. I'm sorry, I don't mind the $5 because I
use when I'm doing my when I'm doing my bathroom theory crafting, where I'm trying to come up with lists. That app does work because you can look up all the things and all the units and all the stratagems. I quiz myself on stratagems because I'm that guy and I want to know all my cool ticks. Okay, so here, this is as trashy as we're going to be. We need technology. Madeline, zoom in, enhance, zoom in, enhance. That's how it works. So that's a noodle horse, and we're getting away from the most important part of why the noodle horse is because I want you to look at that tonguey bastard and try to decide what noise it makes. My theory is it goes, and that's the noise as it comes hurtling across the battlefield at you. And that is why it is one of the most important units in Warhammer 40k, and I don't care what anybody else says.
Because it's Slaanesh, I always lean towards that Hannibal Lecter.
Okay, I could see that. I could see it wanting to eat your liver with a nice Chianti.
But as far as
chaos
Chianti, I can't do it. Got parallel for Imperial Fists. I'm a big fan.
It's Imperial Guard. It's still Imperial Guard and not Imperial Fists. That's what you're talking about, Space Marines. I'm like, why the fuck are you talking about Space Marines? Who gives a shit? It's Imperial Guard. And then I even mentioned Tempest Scions, and you're like, yeah, Scions are cool. Anyway, Imperial Fists, though. That's what I'd really like to talk about right now.
Imperial Guard, that's one of the things I remember. I was looking on the Games Workshop website, and I saw it, and I couldn't remember. I think I was also like, do we have that on the shelf? I don't know. I unfortunately don't know that question, but that's also why I decided to, redirect and plug the app because you can get all that power level there.
That is true.
Also, I don't know how much so Imperial Guard has been. That's one of those armies that I bought a bunch of stuff and then sold a bunch of stuff whenever I realized how much I'd have to paint. If you are, I don't know how much changed between that Grand Tournament book coming out and the actual Codex. Codex is still valid. I don't know how much has changed in that in the chapter approved. So I don't know. You have. I would say that we have just been Warhammered.
Right.
With that question. So yeah. So
Noodle horse is the most important thing. Codexes. God, see, I'm told by the end of this we were done. I would have already forgotten. Oh, sure, Mr. Imperial Fist. Imperial Fist.
I would like to know this news. I've been stuck at home for like 6 days.
So the
I
big
have a long time to go. I need news.
Well, the big to-do is that obviously there's going to be a Necron and a Space Marine Codex in October. And the big news is that all of these, they've been reprinting all the things. Okay, here's some really boring stuff about the industry for a little while because we work in the game industry. Is that Games Workshop doesn't print their books in-house. They make almost everything in Nottingham. So if you ever go to Nottingham, you can see where all the magic happens.
I think we pronounced that Nottingham.
Nottingham. If you're in Nottingham, you can see all the things. And this releases to a segue of how I want to break into Warhammer Factory in the middle of the night and break a specific machine. But we can circle back to that later on. It's an important
Spoilers.
It's an important fact. It's about goddamn paint pots. But anyway, they make almost everything in-house except for the books because they get those printed somewhere else. So as a result of the world being on fire, those have been delayed really badly. They were presumably supposed to come out before this point, like right after the box came out, but now they're not. Anyway, they've repackaged all of these old models using like new format and everything, and their new quick rules and everything that's in there. And there's been all of these rule changes, like multi-meltas are going to have 2 shots and do more damage, and heavy bolters are going to be damaged too, and everyone is losing their minds because
I saw
huge changes are happening.
Is it just Space Marines are going to become 2 wounds?
Space Marines have 2 wounds, and they actually even Games Workshop even came out because it leaked because of these boxes, and then Games Workshop's like, oh right, funny story, Space Marines are going to have 2 wounds, and everyone's like, what?
It's a billion Xenos players cried out.
Yes, every one of us who play like Eldar and stuff are like, oh, I'd like some cool wounds maybe. But anyway, so they're getting 2 wounds, and Space Marine Terminators are going to have 3 wounds, and they're changing all these weapons, and it's going to be crazy. So a lot of these things that we're choosing, like in my sister's list, I made a bunch without heavy bolters because I'm like, heavy bolters are fine, but I want to light things on fire. And then, of course, now they're like, by the way, heavy bolters are cool. So hope you save some bits. That would be good. And especially here's your list tip for the day. You're gonna play Space Marines at some point in your life because Space Marines, tons of people play Space Marines. So that little damage 2 number is really cool now. So it's fun to look through your codex and be like, what gun has damage 2? Because that's gonna be a real big deal soon. So
well, and like
yes, Space Marines, as they say, Space Marines versus Chaos, Space Marines versus everyone else. Or as Phil likes to put it, Games Workshop sells Space Marines and Space Marine accessories. And sorry, Xenos players, our armies are Space Marine accessories.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, here's the deal. We're not going to kink shame Space Marines because we love them.
I have some not Alpha Legion I'm making.
We love Xenos, and Walter's. I love Chaos. Walter likes Alpha Legion. They're fine. I love Alpha Legion too.
Who are not Chaos? You take that back, sir. You take that back.
Yeah. It's just one of those things. It's like
You know why Alpha Legion are in the Chaos Space Marine Codex? Duplicity.
Yeah, well, that's fine. They're spies. They're
there
cool.
You go.
They're cool. They're chill. They know what to do and when to do it. So Warhammer's really taking effect right now. It's
Alpha Legion is the legion most likely to know where their towel is.
And it went. So
Do you know why? Because Alpha Legion planned it that way.
Because the Alpha Legion invented the mule.
Yes. What's in that drink? I am Alfarius.
Most definitely. But yeah, that's one of those things. It's like, so Space Marines are getting some buffs. I have a feeling other people are going to get buffs. Because
they are. Like, for instance, Necron Immortals have been revealed that they're getting Toughness 5. So they're going to be, maybe not immortal.
Nuts.
We're going to put a lie that name, but Toughness 5 is real good. So makes a bunch of those
get reanimation protocols.
Well, yeah, they get reanimation protocols, but they had that before. Toughness 5 is new. They were Toughness 4 before, and now they're going to be more so. So
sure. Well, that's the thing. I guess actually with this news, maybe we were talking that Warhammer 40K 9th edition was going to be 8.5. Maybe we'll get 9th.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to give the way they're releasing things, I'm willing to give it a pass because fucking COVID is a thing. So
yes, I'm not going to complain that their book's
not
delayed
over yet.
Sure.
This isn't one of those things where it's like, oh, they staggered it because their CEO sucks.
No.
Well, we've seen Warhammer do a lot. Games Workshop do a lot of cool things in the past couple of years. I'm, I mean, I guess we're Warhammer apologists, but and maybe our business is Warhammery, but I'm also willing to be like, yeah, maybe things got a bit disrupted as of the middle of sorry, for the rest of the world, January. For
Yeah.
us, the middle of March. So it's hard to not try to be like, hey, I mean, I know it's hard to, it's like COVID sucks. I'm sick of talking about it, but at the same time, it's like we kind of have to frame the year in
Everything's on fire.
yeah, and everything
But
kind of has to be adapted. I mean, for a little while, Games Workshop was running with a couple of people in the warehouse. There weren't enough people. There weren't enough hands to put miniatures in boxes, so things kind of sucked. I would say the same goes probably for the design studio, for the for all of the creative branches. So, take it as a defense, take it as whatever. I'm excited to see what's coming. And with the app.
Oh no, but I do want to ask you a question because I want to talk about speaking of, because I'm also very excited about seeing XX.
Okay.
Who do you want to finally get a sexy new model? Who's your dream model for them finally to make? Either somebody that's got some ancient awful model from back in the day, or doesn't have a model, or what?
That's a good one.
Your wish.
That's good because
I've got two. I've got my dream one.
I'm waiting for Forge World to release the con, because the white scars I love the white scars. I don't know much about them in 40K, so the con is a big deal. We've gotten Gazgul. I'm trying to. Well, I guess I don't know if you should ask this question because you have an answer.
Of course, I asked the question. Okay. I obviously am setting myself up to talk.
I gotta think about this.
Who am I?
I got a Gazgul. I just don't own him yet.
So
go ahead. What are you thinking?
So, I have my big one that I would love to see more than I have two. I have my dream model and my wet dream model. So, as it were. Okay. So my dream model will start with.
That have sex dreams about plastic.
You know what? No, I thought you said we weren't going to kink shame Space Marines. So
I'm not going to yucky your yummy.
Not going to yucky my yummy. I think that's copyright Vanessa at the shop. Yeah. So my dream model is Asdrubal Vecht. The big cool guy. He had a model back in the day. He's the head honcho in the Dark Eldar. He's the pimp daddy of the Dark Eldar army. And he used to have this cool model, and he had this Arc of Destruction, some nonsense super Ravager that was covered in guns. And I think they could do just a hot centerpiece. And I would get to say Asdrubal Vecht more often, which I love dearly. And it would be nice for the Dark Eldar to get a centerpiece, because my Dark Eldar feel lonely when everyone else are getting all these, we're getting Gilliman, and we're getting Gazgul, and we're getting the friggin' Silent King for the Necrons coming out, and everyone's getting these cool models.
At least you have a sexy Dark Eldar army.
I do. Someone really talented must have painted that.
By the way, what I'm hearing. I thought that was painted 5 years ago.
Oh man, back in the day.
Yeah, but that was painted a while ago. Anyway,
hey, it's still holding up.
So
Vecht, that's my dream model. My wet dream model, Doom Rider.
Oh, so shit!
Because Doom Rider is.
No, but I don't want a new Doom Rider. I want old Doom Rider.
Okay, yes, I want that model, that ancient model. No, because I want him to be standing on his bike, all up on there, and he's in the thing, and I want fire, and I want him to have a mirror with some cocaine on it, on the handlebars of his thing, or pardon me, warp dust. That's what we're calling it in 40K. And I demand that they put in his thing. While you're thinking about it, I need to look up. This was going to be a thing that I was going to use for is this real, or is this some piece of nonsense that was made up? But while you're talking about your model, I'm going to look up Doom Rider's thing, and it was yes. We're going to go into the Wayback Machine for some 40K.
So here's the deal. I thought about it, and I'm sure. So last time we did this show, wow, that's weird to call it a show.
I'm ready for this.
This whole thing about it was hey, I like Orc Lore the best, and then in my mind I was like, there's this whole thing where Vindicare Assassin. waits for years in the eye of a star giant to kill a Crimson Hunter Exarch, and then he does it. It's really cool. It's in the Eldar Codex and somewhere else. I don't remember. So I'm going to do the exact same thing. In 2 weeks, I'm going to be like, I actually want this model. But right now, Lucius has a model.
It's a model.
He has a model. It's a model. Read you Lucius, and when we did what was
Can I say one thing about Lucius's model? He also looks like he probably goes.
Yeah.
So I presume that is also the noise that Lucius makes.
Lucius
when he goes into battle.
Son of him.
So much tongue.
When they did that, when they did the, what did they call that? It was like that from 7th to 8th, that end times for 40K.
Yeah.
You know. Okay, so here's
yes, I know what you're talking about.
You know, so I don't know if
book.
So from 40K 7th to 8th, they did this crazy, really cool book series, and here's what we got.
It's where Guillemot came back.
Guillemot came back, but the lion woke up.
Well, the lion was hinted at waking up.
Okay, the lion was hinted, but woke up.
Did you know
Luther? If you're a fan of Dark Angels,
okay, you were going to say the thing that I was going to interrupt you to say.
Prison in the Rock.
Yeah.
Then Imperial Guardsmen start seeing the serpentine form amongst the Emperor's children in the smoke.
And you know what noise that model, that serpentine form makes?
Go for it. Yeah. So here's the deal. We've been given a Lionel Johnson tease. We've been given a Luther tease. We've been given a Fulgrim tease.
There you go. You got it.
Plus, at the same time, whenever Guilliman came back, people started, I guess there was like this internet revolt that the Wolf wasn't coming back, that Lehman Russ wasn't coming back. And the design studio was like, well, if Lehman Russ came back right now, he would definitely not be a good guy. He would be angry and probably evil. And I'm like, why don't we get evil Lehman Russ? So, I mean, my list of why don't we get this model is kind of long right now, but it's also really powerful, probably OP models that people will rage about, but I don't care because I want to paint them. But the original answer to that question before the Warhammered.
Right, I was about to say something Lucius. I hear.
Yeah, Lucius and Fulgrim, really.
Can we talk about how Lucius? Yeah. Can we talk briefly how Lucius also contains one of my favorite pieces of 40K lore? Have I told you my favorite Lucius lore story? So for those of you who are not familiar with what Lucius does, he's this cool swordsman, and his sweet power is that if you ever manage to kill him in combat, and you take any satisfaction or whatever from it, Lucius ends up possessing you and turning you into Lucius, and then you're dead, and you appear as another face in his armor, and he goes on his merry Slaneshi way. So you can't kill him. He's Lucius the Eternal for a reason. So there's always these things of how do you kill Lucius? Because you can't do these things, and people argue ad nauseum about how you do it. And there's a short story that kind of puts paid to a lot of that, where Lucius just steps on a landmine, just a fucking dumb landmine in the middle of a battlefield, blows himself to shit, and he ends up waking up in a Munitorum factory on some random hive world where he possessed the person, the random guy on the line that made that specific landmine, and he possesses him, and he's just like, well, guess I'm on this planet now. Let's do some things. And it is the most dumb story, and I love it dearly that this Eternal Chaos Warrior he's so immortal he has stopped giving a shit about situational awareness and whatnot, and sometimes he just lands on the thing. Yeah. But also just that he's ravaging this hive world and no one can kill him, and it's anyway, wonderful story.
Shout out to the Horus Heresy again. Lucius gets his nose broken by one wonderful Garviel Loken, and it makes his very vain ass absolutely incensed. We have a couple comments from the chat sending out to Commander Dante, Corbulo, and Tycho. You know what? I'm going to throw one in. Sergeant Telion. Let's get Sergeant Telion.
That poor lad. Get him in the
right up there. Yeah.
Dante, I really want. He needs to get a fancy new model. He's the oldest living Space Marine. He's the oldest Space Marine that's not in a box. Man deserves a new model. Come on. You gave Mephiston one. You gave Space Vampire one.
Who was that last Blood Angel Space Marine they released?
Mephiston.
He was
Space
awesome.
Vampire.
Yeah.
He's cool.
They're not my chapter of choice, but man, they have some cool. I mean, granted, Mephiston had the Gary Oldman Dracula armor on, which is not a problem.
Yeah, let me tell you, Mephiston clearly does not drink wine.
how's your hunger rating right now, Walter?
Oh,
If we're gonna tie into
oh my god! No, shut up! Shut up! I have thoughts now, and I need to talk about it. Vampire the Masquerade, Death Watch crossover Blood Angels game.
Okay.
Oh, I'm playing it. Bruja Primaric Reaver. And he's gonna do a thing. I'm running this game. This is happening.
We'll stream
There you go. Hunger rating of 5, Space Marine. Yes. I am on board. Okay, and hold on. Well, actually, we're gonna save this. Whenever we're stopping, let me know when we're stopping. Madeline's gotta like rein us in at some point. We are ending this on. I have found the thing. I found the Doom Rider, but that's gonna be my sign-off piece.
All right, hang on.
That's gonna be my
I gotta look something up.
What's the thing that guy, famous reporter, anchor? Anyway, anchors would have a good catchphrase. And
Walter Cronkite?
Sure. Dan Rather, maybe. I don't know. One of those that said like that was like good night and good luck or whatever.
Walter Cronkite.
It wasn't him.
Both of them. Sure.
Any number of famous things. Whatever. We're gonna remember that I know distressingly more about Warhammer history than I do about, say, the history of the country I live in. So let's not worry about that.
That's what we do here. Yeah. Oh, somebody.
Hansu.
Yeah, Hansu. Okay, Iron Warriors. Again, that's one of those things where it's like, if you read the Horus Heresy novels, again, the Iron Warriors there's some really cool stuff in there. I feel like they kind of get shafted because they become one of the Shattered Legions. No spoilers, but they do. They get kind of fucked up.
Wait, Iron Warriors?
Yeah.
You're thinking
nope.
Iron Hands, sir. You're thinking Ferris Manus. You're not thinking.
Again.
Although Iron Warriors A have one of the coolest loyalists ever. With
I'm guessing that's Judge Howard again. With his hazard stripes.
He loves his hazard stripes. And Hansu could be like a whole talk on his own, man. That guy gets shit done. That guy takes care of business.
I'm not up on my.
He's a Chaos Space Marine that's real gross and real cool.
Is he up there? Is he up there in like that Sevatar or Lucius?
Well, he's not one of the original ones. He's like a later one, okay. And like the idea is that he was made actually from GNC that's not Iron Warrior, or whatever. And he made these Demon Kulabla things. He's done some. He's gross. He's cool.
That could lead. If ever we want to do a rabbit trail episode of this, that could lead to things. Hansu is not actual of that gene seed. We can start talking about a lot of stuff. Oh. Where did Warhammered? Hang on, I have to toast again because oh god, Imperial Fist guy, Sigismund.
Oh yes, strictly speaking, Black Templar guy.
Conspiracy theory. Is Sigismund really from Rogaldorn?
No.
Is he from the Second Legion?
He could be. Next time on Warhammered, we should do that as a thing. We need to talk about the 2nd and 11th Legions.
I kind of want to do a thing that's like
deep conspiracy.
Let's take all of the weird references from the Horus Heresy, like Caliban, character in Shakespeare's The Tempest. All those kind of weird things, and just become the most ridiculous nerds.
Oh yeah, can we spend some time talking about Mr. Conrad Kurz, perhaps?
We can
of the Night Lords.
We could do that. Warhammered, things we think about on the can.
Classy. That is what we would do.
Let's take all these literary references
and
make them beyond arbitrary. And
hey, we can read some Lionel Johnson poetry online. I'll be that guy. That's
Lionel
a thing.
Johnson, one of the best Motown singers in the Imperium.
We're going at from different directions. Oh, but now I want to hear it.
I mean, it was just from the day I loved the Dark Angel so much. Had the army, didn't paint it because I'm, that way.
What?
Love the Dark Angels.
You get all your projects done.
They're cool. I actually believe they are loyal. That's me. I'm not a fallen guy. But Lionel Johnson. Didn't he back up Al Green in Vegas from like 68 to 70?
I think so. I think he really got on there. That's actually right before the Emperor found him on Caliban. That's what he was doing.
During his his moody love phase.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where
He actually, I think, wrote a song about Luther. You broke my heart and my planet. So I think that's a famous work that he.
Why
We'll
did
have to.
those guns at me?
I'll have to look up the lyrics to that later on, but I'm pretty confident.
That's a classic breakup song.
All right, that's your homework session
Yeah.
for next episode. Is I want the lyrics to a Lionel Johnson Motown song.
Your orbital bombardment broke my heart because I have two hearts. That's the Lions.
Yes. Okay, no, you're gonna have to. We're circle back. I want a piece. Yes. Is what I'm saying.
Exactly.
I want
chat like Fenris from Norse mythology, all that stuff. Like Alfarius in Omega, the beginning and the end. That's one of those I think a little more heavy-handed ones, but yeah,
I would say it's on the nose,
right? I mean, shoot, we could go into like all the freaking planets these people are from. Nocturne,
right.
Ball. I mean, honestly, is Ultramar kind of the more? It's weird. So people jump on this bandwagon where it's like Ultramarines are the Warhammer poster boys. I'm like, that's kind of one of the more original as far as grabbing mythology and making it their own.
Sure, but I mean, it's just Rome.
It is.
I mean, it's Rome. It's space Rome. It has 2 consoles and everything. I mean, it's space Rome.
Yeah.
And also they are named after the color of their armor. So I mean, I don't know if we can stretch too far.
Yeah.
Like
I do think that's cool that it's ultramarine blue, because I mean that's it. For me, I kind of am like, hey, if you're an artist,
I love it because it makes a delightful pun. Like they wear ultramarine, but they're ultramarines.
Yeah.
You know, they're like more. And I think that's you can tell that a lot of these things got their names in the 80s.
Sure.
Because it's like that was cool. But
there's some
speaking of
great
which,
punk rock there's some great post-punk references. Post-punk noise marines or goth rockers.
Or more importantly, how about a little Doom Rider to go out on?
The Doom Rider.
Are you ready? Are you ready for this?
Yes.
Are you ready to keep this in?
Of Warhammer.
Okay. All right. We're done. Right, Matt. We're gonna call it after this, because this has got to ring in people's ears as the last thing, because it's so classy.
Sure.
Oh, great Lord Slanesh, send forth your servant, the Demon Prince Doom Rider. Let our enemies tremble in ruptured awe before his fearsome visage. Grant them an exquisite death, crushed beneath the flaming wheels of his chromium steed. Permit them the ecstasy of being slaughtered by Doom Rider's throbbing demon sword and his pulsating gun of gushing plasma. Bestow on them one fleeting moment of pleasure as they stare in wonder and orgasmic delight at one of your most divine creations before dying at his hand. O great Lord Slanesh, for these reasons and many others that tease and titillate our imaginations, we beseech you, send forth your servant, the Demon Prince Doom Rider. That was in a book.
Bring him back.
So,
bring it back.
That's what we need. I need my boy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this was Warhammered.
Yeah. Let's do this again in 2 weeks, maybe.
I love it.
Again, really quick. If there's things you want us to talk about, if there's questions you have, the two of us have Facebooks. A lot of you are friends with us. Send us questions. That'll be great. We're gonna try to hammer this out and have, God forbid, segments. Oh,
I know. We might organize, and that's
talk about hobbies.
Right
we can talk about games. We can talk about other games. We might at some point. I hope Phil's not watching. We might talk about Age of Sigmar at some point, because it's still
Warhammer.
#World. We could talk about a lot of stuff. There's a lot going on here. Personally, I mean, Warhammer 40K is not my main game, but I love the lore. I love the world. So we could talk about some other stuff. We could talk about Blood Bowl. Blood Bowl.
We have to have a Blood Bowl episode.
Yes.
I want to talk about Blood Bowl.
Talk about how much that game stresses everyone out, and how if you play it, you're not right in the head, but that's fine.
Hey, remember, Robert, when I suggested that we were going to go out on the Doom Rider thing, and then you didn't, and you made me sad?
I'm trying to take care of business.
Tiki time.
Here's the deal. In just a second, I just want you to start that whole Doom Rider thing over again.
No,
Okay?
we're not. I
Well, we
only have
can-
enough in me. I can only do that once. If
But
you
we
do it
can-
a second time, Doom Rider shows up. I can't afford that. So,
I mean, I figured if you could do it a second time, you're kind
do you know how hard it is to
kinda
clean
good
up
what you
gushing
do.
plasma? I need a cigarette after the first time. To be fair, probably.
Oh,
You're
so,
gonna. I'm 40 now, man. It's gonna take me a few minutes.
with that,
So-
okay, as much as my hey,
we should.
cool,
Yes,
we're good. Would you stop reading the text pop-ups we're getting from Madeline
I am
and leave it
incapable
on
of doing
Doom
that.
Rider? Because Doom Rider, that's how he rolls. So,
Gushing plasma,
gush,
throbbing
Gushing
demon sword.
right in cup, a copper
Mm.
mug. Yes.
Bye, everyone.
I think we're done.
Yes,
So,
thank you for being here.
we'll try this again in 2 weeks. Maybe Matt will be back. Maybe he's recovered. I don't know.
Right on.
All right.